Hi there and welcome back. It is now 2026 and I hope you all had a wonderful end of year 2025. Shadowscaper has asked me to voice his videos for him, so here goes and I hope you like our work. My name is Peter and I am from Boys in Belgium, and I have been working with Shadowscaper for a few years now, learning the ropes. So I'm hoping to share his experience with you guys as well. Today we're starting off with this 2019 tank that shows the jungle style. This is an earlier version of the jungle style, and it doesn't really match with what we're seeing in jungle styles today. And it's already been 6 years. So we will be looking a little bit deeper into those jungle styles and what we see in the competitiveness of these tanks. The advantage with jungle styles, as we can see in this picture, is they have a great opportunity to play with light and shadow, can give you a lot of depth perception, and you can play with reflections on either sides or even at the top of the aquarium at the water's edge. As we can see in this tank by Putra, not only do you have a lot of textures to play with, you can also play with the colors. Green is probably the most dominant color in jungle styles, but you still have that room and an option to work with reddish colors and the red tones of many different plants, which actually opens up a wide range of opportunities and options when you want to work with this particular style. Well, jungle styles usually refer to those vertical trees and those root stumps that are created in the aquarium. We also see different approaches to them. For example, Harry here, he created something completely different, a lot more darkness. Those tree constructions are still there, but he also working with the arches, a covered pathway, creating a different type of depth and creating a little more original, how do you say, original approach to the jungle style. And then if we look at the Hipri, here again, it actually is a jungle style aquarium, but very heavy on the greens, very heavy of the dark and the light play. And again, you don't really have those vertical trees that we see in many of the more commercial jungle styles. So this aquarium here is a beautiful example of some issues that we see sometimes in competitions. First off, there are a lot of good things about this aquarium. You have a lot of depth perception, you have beautiful reflection, you have play with light and shadow, you have a beautiful focal point, but the focal point is in the center of the aquarium. It should have been more to one of the sides. You could say the rule of thirds, but in this case, it's just too much in the center. The same with the pathway, which is also dead center, also has this fake waterfall quality to it, which will have cost him points in this case. This typical waterfall look very often is a commercial look, and judges don't really respond that well to it. So while he has a lot of good things going for him, it's pretty clear where the subtractions have come from. The reflections in the top are great, the sides are good, he has good play with light and shadow, but it's just too much to the commercial side of the contest tanks. Now, in 2019, Green Aqua, they created a movie and a contest aquarium, they said, which you can see right here. Now, it's a beautiful aquarium. It has a lot of pieces in it. It was very complex, and I advise you to go see the movie on how they created this one because it's really a beautiful tank that they created. But would it stand up to a contest level tank? We believe it won't. There are a few things here that make us say that it won't. First off, this isn't a competition picture, but we do see some problems with reflections. Light and shadow play is present, but it's not that present. And the depth perception seems a little bit off. So while it's a beautiful tank and it takes a lot of technique to build a tank like that, we're not convinced that this would have scored very highly during a competition like IAPLC. I would have loved to see this one in IAPLC and get the results and the judges telling us what it would have been. But in this case, I'm really not sure it would have matched what the competition levels is like right now. One Indonesian aquascaper who has been very successful in Indonesia himself is Nixon. Nixon has his own store in Jakarta. I think he has one of two more somewhere else. Um, but the thing about Nixon is he has great talent in building stuff. He creates beautiful aquariums. You're going to see these three here today. Um, but there are some disadvantages to his build. First off, he's a very commercially oriented aquascaper. So while he has great technique and good insight and depth perception, he's also very focused on the market that he's trying to sell his aquariums on. When we look at the first two aquariums here, we see that a lot of light and play and beautiful depth perception, but he also lost a lot of his tank surface with those dark black spots, which is something judges will look at. How much of your tank, your canvas, is actually being displayed to them, or are you covering it up somehow? And when we look at the first two tanks here, a lot of black dark area isn't really getting judged. The third aquarium, where he also built, has a lot less of this darkness to it, has a better play to light and shadow, but again, we have some other issues here. For example, you don't have the reflection on the left and the right. You have less reflection and impact on the top. So this is a more dark light bland build, and it's very hard to rank aquariums like these and really get them noticed by judges, because this is eventually what you're trying to do in a competition is you want to get the judges' attention the first time around, and then you want them to look at it and really be like, oh, wow, you did this and you did that, and how did you do this? And what are you trying to say? What is your story? How does it fit your name and your titles? This is what you want to do in aquarium competition tanks. Sansanso is another aquascaper from Indonesia who's also very much into this jungle style aquascaping. Um, he seems to be scoring a little bit higher than Nixon generally, and he's also been a very successful aquascaper in Indonesia. He's considered one of the best 4 or 5 aquascapers in the country right now, judging events and stuff like that. But we see here as well in these two tanks that he's working a lot with textures, root systems, the typical jungle style look with the Bucephalandra, with the mosses and stuff like that. This is typical for Indonesia. We have seen some of his works in previous videos. This time we're looking at works that are a little bit different from what he's done in the past. Um, these are not the most recent works. I think the ones we saw in the previous videos were a little more recent than these. But again, we're seeing a different type of play with a jungle style. Again, one of the things that might be interesting to look at is if you look at the first one of his tanks, the 2019, you see the root system on top. That's something that Just Sim, he took and he worked out in his 2025 win, and he took it to a completely new level, and he did a lot more with it than Sansan did in 2019. So we can see how older tanks have elements that we still see in newer tanks nowadays. Then, of course, there's Yo-Yo Prayogi, winner of 2021. We've already seen his tank in one of the previous videos. But what we want to show you here with Yo-Yo is that it's not easy to stay consistently ranked in those top spots. Um, he won 2021, but at the same time, 2018, we're seeing something completely different from him here. Then in 2019, again, something completely different, a little less that jungle style. So he's been experimenting quite a lot during the years. And in 2019, he actually had a rank 1 aquarium at the Chinese competition. And you notice those reddish plants he's using on the bottom for his autumn theme. It's something we saw again in 2025, where Thomas, he did a similar effect in his highly ranked tank in IAPLC. Now, in 2020, Yo-Yo just ranked 137th, winning in 2021. So he made a huge jump between those 2 years. But we just want to show you that it is not easy even for experienced high quality scapers like these people to consistently score well. Just look at his 2022 tank, barely made it to top 300. 2024 barely made it to the top 300 again. And then in 2025, he went back in the top 50 with a 38th location. So we see this with some aquascapers. They can go up and down, and sometimes they're looking for their own style, and they keep experimenting, looking for that specific style that fits their style of aquascaping and what they're looking for and what they're strong at. One aquascaper I'm keeping an eye on and that has impressed me quite a lot the last few years is Acho Choki. In 2019, he came in to IAPLC 325th, and we're seeing typical issues with this tank. It's a beautiful tank, it's jungle style inspired, good reflections, but where is the wow, where is the awe of this type of tank? But in 2020, he went fourth at IIAC with this beautiful tank. You have the vines, you have the jungle impressions, you have the reflections, and a lot of depth perception in this one, a lot more than we saw in 2019. So he made a huge jump in just 1 year. And then he actually showed us how good he really was by doing exactly the same ranking in 2022. 2 years later, different style aquarium, and again that fourth place. So already we're seeing that he went from plus 300 to fourth in just a very short time. Um, and he actually continued performing by going in 2023, same competition, IIAC, and he ranked sixth. So already a very consistent three rankings right after each other. In 2024, he then went to fifth place. And both his 23 and 24 tank had a lot of darkness to it, and you could say he lost some points, and he probably would have lost some more points at the IAPLC because of the darkness at the sides, because he's not using the full canvas like we said about Nixon. But his detailing, his depth perception, the layers in the tank are immaculate. They're absolutely beautiful. And I think that he got very well rewarded in 2024 when he scored a first place at the Chinese Korean competition and at IADC, all first rank positions with this beautiful tank. So he really is a scaper that has shown that he has found his niche, he's found his style, he's found his skill level and where he wants to go and where he can go with it. And he's performed beautifully for several years now. And even in 2025, he still stayed consistent by still getting into that top 50th spot because he ranked 36th at the Korean aquascaping contest here in 2025. So this is an aquascaper I'm looking at quite a lot and I think has some very beautiful techniques and beautiful skills to him. So this is definitely a scaper to watch out for. And I am curious to see what competitions he's going to do the next couple of years. But I think he emphasizes the one thing that we really want to look at in aquascaping. Find your own style, find what it is that you like and what you're good at. And once you have that, start playing with the light and the dark, the shadows, the depth perception, because you need to combine all of these elements to get to that top spot. Don't get frustrated if you don't make it to the top spot from the start. Don't get frustrated if after one great result you get a bad result. You can come back. Just look at Yo-Yo. He went from almost barely missing the top 300 to winning in 2021, then going back out of the top 100 in the year later, and then coming back this year, this last year, back in the top 50. So don't be discouraged. Keep looking at what you're good at and finding out what is that particular style you like. How does it match your story? How does it match your skill level? And then work with the light and shadow and the reflections inside of those skill sets that you're creating. And keep experimenting until you find what it is that fits you. And that's it for today. So it's a very simple approach to aquascaping today. It's the start of a new year, so we're going to keep it a little bit light. Next time, we're going to look at one of the other countries and how those countries have been performing internationally for the past few years. So take care, stay safe, and see you next time. Bye bye.